They're playing, they're playing. Just a few hours before Sunday's game at Levi Stadium, this small plane towed a banner above Levi Stadium. It read, quote, Jed and 49ers should mutually part ways. NinerFans.com reports it was the idea of a longtime fan who raised more than $1,000 in an online campaign to pay for the flight, which ultimately cost just $549 for the 6 to 8 laps it flew. And then, of course, there's this. On Monday, comedian, San Franciscan, and 49er fan, Rob Schneider, he tweeted out, Dear Jed York, I hope you've had fun playing GM for your mom's 49ers, but it's not much fun for us. Please resign.
Man, we've lost Rob Schneider. That's about it. That's
friend of Comcast Sportsnet.
Yep,
450,000 followers.
That's not bad. No, that's not bad. Almost as many as Tim Kawakami.
No.
John Middlecoff is
Almost
here.
as I blocked.
Yeah, that is true. How ugly is the animus between Jed and his fan base?
It's not real good. You never a win. They win that game. They convert the 4th and 20, get in the end zone. Maybe people feel a little different. We know football goes back and forth. But I'll just put it this way: I was in a waiting room today, just sitting there, and I had 2 people come up to me and not say hello, just said, God, that Jed York is really stupid, isn't he? What's going on with him? This is just random, in the world.
Yeah, just about life.
Yeah,
right.
And it's Jed York what's he ruining this franchise for? It's getting to a high level now. Again, people can accuse me of whipping it up. Maybe I'll just say, if you look at what's happened, and John Middlecoff has been a guide for me on this. They went from Jim Harbaugh winning to Jim Tomsula, and it was planned, and they're 3-8. Just do that. Just do that in your mind. They planned to go from Jim Harbaugh to Jim Tomsula. 3-8 seems like what would happen, and yet Jed York willfully went there. That's what I think blows everybody's mind. It wasn't because of this injury or this or that or terrible Jim Harbaugh wanted. No, he purposely did this, and what we've seen is every domino from their lead, including the Kaepernick blow-up and all these other things. This has just been something that he and Trent Baalke and Parag Marte wanted to happen. That's what irritates and angers so many people, I believe. It just seems it's so willful.
But Jed York doesn't draft players. He doesn't sign free agents. And I know the animus is towards the owner. But how much of this should be on the group of guys who are supposed to put the 53-man roster together?
I talked with a guy in a front office that scouted the 49ers. His team played them. And he said he thinks the talent is not that bad. He thinks the coaching staff is just awful.
He didn't think on this roster.
He didn't think they're a playoff team.
Okay.
But are they a 6, 7, 8 win team?
I mean, they were there last year. They were 8-8, but
they were 8-8. But how much more competitive? I mean, they're not even. That was one of their more competitive games of the season. They've been rolled countless times. I mean, games that in the second half they don't have a shot. I mean, the previous week they were down 20-0 before you could blink. I don't think you can dispute the tangible negativity from the fan base because they know this coaching staff and the head coach has no business being a head coach. It all starts there. Is their roster what it once was? By no means. But is it a borderline embarrassment to the NFL? Yes.
All right, let me get into the Jed side of this. I'm going to ask you to do something totally outside of the realm. Advise him on how he and the Niners start digging themselves out of the hole.
Well, I'll just say, if you're running a legitimate, credible organization, you install an executive in charge of football operations who has been through it, who isn't just somebody that the ownership trusts, it's somebody that the league and the players and the coaches can trust, has credibility within all phases, and they've always avoided that. They've always stayed away from, when I get this, somebody who's going to be president of the team, who has football credentials. That's what I would think anybody should do. This is how Jerry West is an advisor with the Warriors, but how big was that move just kind of symbolically for the Warriors, that Joe Lacob brought in Jerry West to be with Bob Myers to run the operation. I've been covering this team for a long time, Jim. The Yorks have avoided this and said they didn't want no part of this for all of it while they've struggled. And they only didn't struggle when Jim Harbaugh was there, by the way. That's the only time.
I think Trent Baalke's capable. Of the three-headed monster of Jed, Parag, and Trent, he's the most capable in my mind.
Trent is not a terrible GM. I say this all the time. People get mad. I have difficulties communicating with him, but that's a whole other thing. He's not a terrible GM. He has made a lot of mistakes, so do a lot of GMs. He needs an executive above him to be able to explain what the 49ers are doing, to be able to direct him in away from certain self-destruct teams that things that he does and the team does, in order to maybe get him okay with the head coach and not have him blow up the head coach who's very successful. They do not have that one executive, and they have avoided it and they've resisted it. At some point, you say, okay, look at how many teams succeed with that executive. Why don't you do it? I don't know. At some point, why they wouldn't just say, okay, we're going to put someone here. They don't want that executive.
Don't worry, Jed's got it handled.
Yeah, it's Jed York. The executive they want in charge is Jed York or Parag Parente, and it has not worked except for one slice in time when they turned the organization largely over to Jim Harbaugh, and they did not like that.
Interesting the way it is, but there's interesting news over on the other side.